Check out gamersgather.com.
Hey everybody, it's Jason here from Forward Compatible and Gamers Gather, and I'm here with the guys from Warpo, and they've got some brand new figures to talk about. So what do we got here?
So you are seeing the prototypes for the Legends of Cthulhu line.
Yes.
Warpo's first action figure line. As you can see, they're 3 3/4 retro style figures.
I love them.
Unlike a lot of other maybe retro things you're seeing, there's a lot of things that distinguish what we do and what we make from them. The first being, we're making new stuff. These are all based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft.
That is
We're
awesome.
not doing something that's been done before. And second is our attention to detail. We are making these things the way they made them back in the day, from the design process to the sculpting to the package art being painted on oil on canvas to the actual materials that we're using.
That's awesome. We actually met at C2E2, which we did a video for, and we couldn't talk about anything then. So how did everything come together with the licensing and everything?
I'll let Bryan talk to that.
Well, H.P. Lovecraft's works are public domain.
Yeah.
So, like Eric had mentioned, this is the first line of figures that's ever been created for H.P. Lovecraft's works, and as we were going through the process of, we knew that we wanted to make a 3 3/4 inch figure. We knew that it was going to be this era of 1979 to 1981, because those are the toys that totally get us off. They're kick-ass, and we collect a lot of those toys. And as we started kind of brainstorming what we were going to do, and going through that method manufacturing process that we do, when we discussed H.P. Lovecraft and started searching, looking into it and seeing what pop culture was into at that time. It was all about fantasy and role-playing games and Satanic Panic and all that that craziness that was good and bad in the culture. It wasn't a hard leap to say, well, maybe during a creative session, somebody could have brought the works of H.P. Lovecraft in and said, this was in Deities and Demigods or whatever. This is,
and they pulled it.
Right, exactly. And his works are people are into this stuff. Let's do it. But at the same time, we were putting it through a process that would have been done by a corporation making toys at that time.
Okay.
So. These aren't specific characters, they're archetypes, because they were kind of boiled down into a hero and a bad guy, and his minion and all that kind of things that would have happened as they went through developing the toys, and they're trying to make something that's digestible for kids.
Okay. So these are the prototypes. How did you settle on the designs? What was the process behind that? Looking at all the different, the way that Lovecraft described all the different characters, and then you had to miniaturize them.
Well, I think one thing we did too, even with the professor, we took an amalgam of a bunch of different characters that had happened in the novels, but again, put them through that method manufacturing to kind of make an archetype of all those different characters. But I mean, we did style guides just like Kenner would have done back in the day.
Okay.
We worked with sculptors and artists of that time to make sure that they turned out the way that we wanted them, like Eddie Mosqueda, who worked on He-Man, who worked on Ninja Turtles. He sculpted them in wax just like they would have been done back in the day.
Really?
And then even with the illustrations and stuff for the packaging, we worked with Ken Kelly, who did oil on canvas just like he would have done back in the day. He worked on Micronauts, Mangalores, a bunch of TSR toys, TSR stuff, and with that, both those forces and with us kind of putting our insight into it with method manufacturing, that's kind of how we came up with each individual designs.
Well, in designing the characters, there's this thin line that we got to walk, because obviously we know there's hardcore Lovecraft fans out there, and they're going to have expectations, and they've seen things, and we definitely studied all that. But, at the same time, it's not realistic at that time period where they would have gotten all the details right and nerded
Yeah,
out
there's
on
not
all that
100
stuff.
points of articulation and everything like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not just like the function of it, but even just the details of getting the continuity right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't have cared so much about that.
They would have just picked and choosed and mashed them all
Mashed them
made
together.
it its
Okay,
own,
yeah.
its own thing, you know? And so we really had to kind of like tightrope walk that and
Mhm.
say, all right, we got to make something that is going to resonate with Lovecraft fans, but we also have to make something that's going to evoke this nostalgia and feel real. You know, those decisions that we made on choosing these characters and the way that they look and who they are is all part of that process, that when you look at all this stuff, you're like, wow, that reminds me of being a kid. I
Yeah.
totally feel like this could have happened, or did this happen? Was this something that I missed out on in the 80s?
Yeah, like where was these? You know?
Yeah.
So you guys said that these are the prototypes. What's the feedback that you've been getting so far?
It's been phenomenal. As you know, when we first interviewed, we couldn't tell you much.
Yeah.
So it was basically the three of us talking amongst ourselves, saying, "Well, we think this is really great. We think people will really like it, but until we release it to the Kickstarter
Mhm.
and the media, and we've got such a positive response. That is the most rewarding part of this, is just knowing that the decisions we made were the right decisions, and it turned out just as cool as we hoped it would be.
Yeah, I can't stop looking at them. They look awesome. Like here in person, they look
Yeah,
awesome.
when you see it in person, like looking at the photos,
Yeah, you know.
they look cool. But when you see it in person, it's like all those details just like really smack you in the face.
Yeah.
It's just really tight and like HD. I don't
Yeah.
know how else to explain it. It's like, whoa, like this looks. I imagined that they were going to be cool, but when you actually get to hold them in your hand,
I could just
it just
imagine when
completes
you guys
that.
first got to see and hold them.
Well, when we went to California, me and Brian went to California to see them getting sculpted by Eddie, and the first time that we saw them, like Brian said, we'd seen pictures and we were, going back and forth with some concepts and stuff like that, but to see them, like, it was an emotional thing. Both me and Brian are like, oh, like, because not only did Eddie do them, but like these are toys that we worked on and
Yeah.
they looked like perfect. Like they looked like they would go alongside all those toys that we grew up with. So
Very
it was
cool.
an amazing moment.
When are you guys expecting to be able to release them?
Well, we're delivering in December to both our Kickstarters, as well as they're available for pre-order now
Okay.
on Big Bad Toy Store.
Okay.
And in September, they'll be in Diamond Previews catalog, so you can get them at your comic shop too. So everyone will get their toys in December, and also in December we'll have some more big announcements about what's coming out next.
Wave 2.
We'll
Very
see.
cool. Well, I appreciate the time, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.